What is the agenda that I have in this session? First and foremost, I'd like to explain to you the term fraud itself, because that would be the basic in any course on forensic accounting. Then, of course, I'll introduce you to the subject of forensic accounting so that you have an idea how and what you need to do in the foreseeable future. And of course, we'll end this session also with the traits that a good forensic accountant should have.
Consider a situation. What you see now on the screen is a person who is slumped, who has actually died. He's slumped on the desk. He was a bank manager. And if you see on one side of the table, there is a coffee cup with some steaming hot coffee, which is coming out of the cup. And just below the desk is a printer. And if you see the way his hand has been placed on the table, under his hand there is a paper which had a printed note stating that he had committed suicide because he had embezzled a large amount of money from the bank. A completely new dimension emerged. It was a kind of a boomerang fraud. Now things began to take shape in the mind of the investigator. But a forensic auditor has got a much larger domain. And let me explain that to you with the help of a lovely billiard shot. What you see now on the screen is a billiards table with 3 balls on the table. Now, whenever we ask people as to what is the player trying to do, somebody will say the player is trying to pocket the red ball, somebody will say the player is trying to pocket the white ball, somebody may even go to the extent of saying that he's trying to pocket the white and the red ball. But that's about it. More than 90% of the people will stop at that. But have a look at the shot now.
This same message that we wish to give you. You may be doing a lot of things right now on your own, which may be good and which we would appreciate. But what we are going to talk about during this entire forensic accounting course is how to think differently, how to look at the future with different eyes, do the same things but with a different way, and your success, we hope, will be significantly greater.
Let me begin this with a story from our scriptures. I have heard this in many spiritual discourses. There was a hermitage where there was a strange practice which was seen, that every time the teacher or the Guruji would come out to give a discourse, there would have to be necessarily a cat which was tied to a pillar. Only then the Guruji would come out and give a discourse to his pupils who would be there in the courtyard. Now, you know how or what is the history of this?
Let's look at telephone numbers as one thing and how we can find out our duplicated telephone numbers. So I'm just going to open the vendor master, which again is a file which is there with you. If you can open this worksheet number 5. Now in this worksheet, as you can see, you have a data of vendor code, you have a name of the party, and then you have a telephone number spread across 4 or 5.
It is actually used in situations where major fraud is suspected, where there is huge geographical distance and routine checks do not yield satisfactory results. So let us understand the medical import of this barium test. Consider the human body like this. Now in this case, barium test is generally administered as follows. A barium is swallowed, a piece of barium is swallowed from the mouth, and it is permitted to go inside the system in the human body, as you can see. So when it goes through the way you saw on the screen, there is no block, it had a smooth exit. So that means the body was free from any major. I'm trying to show it at an ants level or a micro level in the next slide to give you an idea of how complex the situation is. Now here you see the distribution and screening network of ad films across so many 3,000 cinemas across India. So who are the different, have its area offices, zonal area offices where the film prints are initially sent from the head office in Mumbai or wherever the film prints have been made, and from there to the regional office, from the regional office to the depots, and from the depots to the cinema halls all over the country. So as you can see, there are a lot of places through which the film prints have to travel. And this really complicates the situation, particularly where fraud is suspected. Why I'm talking so much about juxtaposition tests? Because this can be very effective in spotting manipulations, forgeries and duplicates which can lie latent, which can remain concealed for time and years together until such time that the necessary documents or papers or the evidence that is brought is placed side by side or juxtaposed.
Now I think there's definitely something wrong over here, sir. I mean, it is not as simple as it is appearing. I strongly suggest that we look into the matter immediately.
I think you are right. We should go in for investigation. What do you think so?
Definitely. Yeah, you should. Don't worry, sir. We'll get the matter investigated immediately. And I'm sure that we don't have a full picture yet.
I second.
It is only when you apply a balanced use of tools and techniques, it will determine a success factor for you. So friends, when I talk about data, I would suggest that these are the 8 checks points that you can employ. If you can do a few or all of this when you're working with your data, you'll perhaps be able to do a lot in terms of data analysis. Here the 6,000 is round number. So the balance are the 2 transactions which could be a good sample size. Have only 13 records. That means when Benford's law looks at the number, in this millennium, how steganography is used in the current times. Now in current times you have computers, you have other communication equipments, and therefore we'll see how steganography is used even in the modern day times, but the principle remains the same. Now, let's see how technology is used to fool this kind of a system whereby the information goes right under the nose of these administrators, and yet they are not able to understand or comprehend or see that critical information is flowing out. It will be a steganographic message. The formula used is the same, then how are you getting a score which is different than the others? So I'm going to show you some very simple techniques that
Welcome everyone to the digital forensics session. The agenda for this session is face. The next one, we had a robbery in the stores of a large company, and certain large items were stolen. Our forensics team did their best in stock, getting the stock counts and a binary format. Have an index. Needs to be as per the evidence law.
Additional information or evidence, or he is a witness.
Credits in it, and he will match the income with the credits. But normally one does not see the other side, which is also equally important. So this was one of the red flags which was immediately spotted.
As Mahesh said, that the CEO was really disturbed about this event because they had lost a deal because of this, and the only thing was that thing was to be done very discreetly. At the back of the mind, it was always there that the suspicion of the CEO was very strong, and he wanted some things to confirm or dispel his doubt.
Second is a covert crime, and this is what the result which we saw. Questions and the responses will be different litmus paper test.
It gives more comfort to the woman at the other side. This is a very tricky question.
India. So we decided to visit one particular branch, and we started with a membership section. Basically, when we called for those records, one more surprise element came to us that year. We had a sample form with us wherein it was clear-cut shown that the full amount, that is 100%, was paid by that particular member. But in the records of the company, which was monitored by the head office, over there only 70% of them.
follow the same process to the parking area, and it will get a good, because it was a good milk. And there were 2 sets of keys required to open this. So
Friends, the 3 things that you must keep in mind is professional skepticism, use multiple sources of information, tact and diplomacy. Once you ingrain them into your approach of any kind of investigation, rest assured that you will become a good forensic accountant. This, friends, is the world of forensic accounting. We have a whole lot more to do, but the entire course we will be substantiating more and more case studies, methods of investigation, and whatever is relevant from the point of view of forensic accounting based on what you have seen in these past. So friends, thank you.